Honey, what are you thinking?
Is it podcast time? Yeah, I bet it is. It's about time, and yeah, I'm back. I'm back at it. I'm back at it again. Yeah, somebody just basically passed by here with a car. A little bit loud, but I know you didn't get that. So, welcome back to the Questions Ladies Wanna Ask podcast. With me, your host. I haven't really changed too much. No, I'm still the one hosting. But yeah, in the future things might change. Not that I might get somebody else like hosting it, but I might have a few guests. I think I mentioned that before, but I didn't quite bring them back yet. Not back, like I'll bring them sometime soon. But either way, sit back, relax, grab something if you're that kind of a person. If you're reading something, put it down for a minute. Or you might keep reading it and keep listening at the same time. If it works for you, I'm all in, I'm all for it. And today's topic or today's question goes something like this. What would you refer to let me put that differently. What would you refer to as a slutty girl? Slutty girl. I'm not gonna use that word a lot more. Like I'll try to use it as few times as I can, because slutty, slutty, like I mean SLUT, it's not the best word, the best language to be using, so I'll try not use it as many times as, I'll try and use it as few times as I can. And quite frankly, I might as well just say SLUT, like basically spelling it out rather than actually saying it. Yeah, I don't want to say it too many times. It's not the kind of word you keep throwing around. It's not good for anybody. So, but back to the question, what would you refer to as a slutty girl? Well, I'd never refer to anybody, any girl, lady, or woman as a slut. Never. Or I wouldn't want to do that. And I know most guys probably would not want to do that too. Any man who's worth anything, they wouldn't do that. But since that's the question, and on this question, however, I'll cover what most men would consider a slut. Most of us, basically. So yeah, I'll still cover it. And I'd probably use a better word. A promiscuous girl sounds better. There you go. A little bit of euphemism, and everything looks so much better. So a promiscuous girl would be a woman or a lady who has loose sexual morals. That's the best definition most guys would come up with if you ask them who they think of as a SLUT. Yeah. So they'd probably say somebody with a little bit of the morals are a little bit loose on the sexual side. Yeah, so that's what a slut or SLUT would probably be. I know some people are fond of using it as a way of shaming others, or some of them it's more like a derogatory word. Yeah, I know. Like a way of putting others down. Usually or sometimes they use it for people they don't like, without actually realizing the real impact of using such words on somebody else and the consequences that such words carry. Especially if those words are thrown around in the presence of other people. So, back to me, I know I might not actually realize the kind of impact it has, but I know it's not name calling or shaming in any form or manner. It should be frowned upon and looked down upon and shunned. So yeah, in this case, I'll just cover what most guys would refer to as a SLUT. And when I say most men, basically I'm putting myself in that list of what most of us would consider to be an SLUT. And moving on, so I think the first thing I'd talk about first or cover would be if a lady or a woman wants to express herself sexually and have sex with random men, I wouldn't just call her a slut, me or other men. Here we're looking at the intention. She wants sexual freedom. Great for her. And those men who get to have some of that, I'm sure they'll be pretty happy that they happen to cross paths with such a lady at such a point in her life, or when she was exercising that. If she's still doing it, yeah, I know some whoever happened to be the one she's practicing it with, they'd be pretty happy about it. So yeah, if she does this while she's in a relationship with a good, faithful man, in my eyes, she kind of qualifies as a SLUT. If she does this without being in any relationship with somebody else, she's doing her own thing, so she's having fun. She has all the right, unless it's an arrangement she's made with her boyfriend. So she's not only cheating, but if it's not an arrangement that she made with her lover or her spouse or her boyfriend, then she's basically cheating. Yeah, and that's worse. So if I have a friends with benefit, or just a friend who I have sex with, and she has sex with everyone else, not that I would not want to have sex with such a person, but this would not necessarily make her a SLUT. Definitely not. She's just being promiscuous. Think of a sex worker. She's not an SLUT. She's doing what she's doing to earn money, to eat, pay her bills, whatever situation she might be in. So a woman with a good job that pays her bills but wants to absolutely have sex with as many men as she possibly can kinda falls into the SLUT category. Yeah, when I compare the two, somebody who does it because that's their job, and somebody who's earning a fairly good living, yeah, maybe one of them kind of falls into the SLUT category. The one who's doing it just for the fun of it. Yeah, the other one is doing it because they have to. So between the two, one of them is basically a SLUT. Yeah, that's just what I think and what a good number of like-minded men would probably say. And moving on, like, let's say, our next point would be a lady who's been, let's say, married for years but goes ahead and cheats on her loving husband. Well, she qualifies as an SLUT. Yeah, I know what you might be saying. Oh, maybe she cheated just once. It's not like she cheated with half the men in the city, but yeah, and she earns that credit. Yeah, she earns it. Her friend who has slept with maybe more than half of the city, but is not seeing anyone, and she's not in a serious relationship with anybody, not a slut. She's just having fun. Even though she has probably been, I'm talking about a lady who's probably done it with everybody else around her and everybody else she's met, but she's not dating anybody, or she's not in a committed relationship. She doesn't qualify as an SLUT. Definitely not. Why? Because she's not cheating on anybody. She's just having fun. It's like a guy who's just having random sex with different ladies, but he's not in a relationship with anybody. I might not necessarily call him a SLUT. Yeah, because he might be having his own reasons, just like a lady in the same case. She's just having fun, experimenting or something else. So yeah, anyone, or yeah, like if she's just doing it, if we're talking about the lady, back to the lady, if she's just doing it with random men and she's not dating or seeing anybody, good for her. She doesn't qualify as a SLUT. No. Could be maybe another one is just maybe she's dating one person, or she's having random sex with one person, then maybe that guy's brother, then his friend, then his best friend. Yeah, still, if she's not dating anybody, she has the freedom, she has the right to do whatever she wants. It's that easy. So a SLUT is the kind of lady who would have absolutely no problem sleeping with any man. Absolutely none. She doesn't have a problem with any of them. Yet she's probably committed with somebody else. Yeah. So the easy one might come off as slightly hard to get, but it is a front that usually happens. You might find a lady and she might come off as slightly hard to get, but it just happens that it's just a front because she's easy and she needs to prove that maybe she's a little hard to get. Yeah, it happens. So just seeming like she might be hard to get, but the SLUT is open for business. Not for the money, but she doesn't need to make you believe it's going to be. She wants you to believe that it's going to be a little bit hard to get her. Just know if you want it, come and get it. She wants you to know that if you're into it, just go right ahead and get it. So not quite the same. I hope you got that. Yeah. So an SLUT to me would be the kind of person who would not have a problem doing it with anybody, yet she knows she's supposed to be doing something better with somebody else. Like she's already committed to somebody else. I think I mentioned that. I'll scratch that now. Moving on. What about a one-night stand? Is she a SLUT? No, she's not. A one-night stand is just that. A one-night stand. That's what she is. That's all she is. I mean, a one-night stand could give you a million reasons why she did it. She wanted to experience it. The opportunity presented itself. She's not dating. She might be dating, but doesn't do this every so often. Because if she does it often, well, she's no longer a one-night stand. If she's always doing it with random people, she might just qualify into an SLUT. Yeah, but a one-night stand and the SLUT are quite separate, quite different. A one-night stand has some level of principle. She won't do it with every other man. She chooses who it is and goes with them. A SLUT, on the other hand, an SLUT, on the other hand, goes with anyone else. And tomorrow she'll be back for somebody else, or maybe the same guy. But with the SLUT, she'll be having it with anybody she can get her hands on, or anybody who can get their hands on her. A one-night stand, most of them tend to be a little bit choosy, unless it's a bad night, probably, whether a guy or a lady. Yeah, they tend to be choosy. They choose who they want, and if they don't get who they want, they might just go without somebody. But an SLUT is not that choosy. That's why they are different, a one-night stand and an SLUT. So yeah. But what about the lady who hooks her up with her date or with a guy like a little too soon? Is she a slut? No, she isn't. She doesn't have a problem with sex on the first date, which guys know, and some guys love and understand that. Some of us just see the way it is. You're being your real self. It's not that you're a slut. Definitely not. She's not being an SLUT. She's just being her real self. If she wants it on the first date, great. Most guys are basically okay with that. That's what they're basically hoping for. So go for it. If that's who you are, if you don't mind having it on the first date, great. That doesn't make you an SLUT, and don't let anybody tell you different. So, yeah, if you want it, go for it without limits. She's also like she's just free-minded. If she knows what she wants and she goes for it. That doesn't make her an SLUT. Yeah. She has sex with whoever she wants. If it's on the first date and she wants it, great for her. So the lady hooking up with the guy on the first date is doing it for that man. If she's doing it for that man, or for whichever reason she's doing it, she might be doing it for that guy, or she might be doing it for herself, or for both of them, or maybe she's hoping for something better, or probably not. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't make her a slut just because she did it on the first date or over a one-night stand. Yeah, if she has, and sometimes she might get another date tomorrow, like the next day, the day after she had the previous date and had sex with the previous guy, and the day after she gets another date and she still does it with a guy. Great for her. Yeah, it doesn't make her a SLUT. No, she's just a lady having fun. Yeah, on dates. The SLUT is the kind of person who has a high body count. That's all. Crazy body count. Especially if she happens to be dating, like I mentioned. Yeah. So what about a man? This word, I don't want to say this word, but I'll just say this once. Actually, I'll just spell it. I won't say it. So remember, the question is, what would you refer to as a slutty girl? What about a WHORE? Is she a is let me put that like this. Is a WHORE, is she a SLUT? Is a whore a slut? The language today. Terrible, actually. The language has always been that way. So I don't know how I'm gonna clean my mouth after all the words I've mentioned today. Man, well, a whore is just another word for a slut. Shamelessly having sex or hooking up with as many guys as she can. No regards for anything, like no holds barred. So the two are just synonyms, basically, whore and slut. Same meaning with different spellings. Yeah. Would I call somebody any of those words? Never. I've never used them, never would. Like, I've never used them on anybody. I've used them here, but I wouldn't go calling anybody those names. Never would. They're just beyond degrading. They're inhumane. Do they describe the person? No. They describe the behavior. But I wouldn't expect anyone to go tagging people using those words and saying that, oh, I'm just talking about her behavior. No. Nobody expects anybody to go using those words on those kind of words and tags on anybody else. It's just absolutely unnecessary. In this case, because I'm covering it on the podcast, yeah, I can throw a little bit of light on it and say that, yeah, when the word whore and slut basically mean the same thing. Not like a one night stand, that's completely different. Not like sex on the first date, not the same thing. Yeah. So slut shaming, yeah, it's a thing. It's a real thing, and it's pathetic. Some men just go ahead and call a lady a slut, not for her sexual openness, which is still not a reason for name calling, especially the use of such degrading terms. Some guys just do it because, in a good number of cases, because the lady refused his advances and wouldn't conform to his idea of what a woman should be. If she refused to have sex with him, he might resort to the use of such language. I know. It's pathetic. Yeah, but some guys just do that. Others resort to the use of such language based on how a woman is dressed and so on and so forth. But it's just, again, pathetic. I know some ladies who've had to endure being called such disparaging names, even from other ladies, not just from the guys. Like, even some of the ladies still use such names on their own, on their friends or on other ladies. Yeah, best thing I'd say on that: do not allow that to get to you. No matter how many fingers they point, like, just keep your head high and keep going. No one knows you better than you. Don't forget that. No matter what kind of names, remember, sticks and stones. Yeah, might break my bones. I think that's how it goes, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Can't remember that verse that well. So remember, no one knows you better than you. So just do you. And there's always something you can do with people who happen to use such language against you. Yeah, there's always something. I'm not talking about taking matters in your own hands, of course not, but there's always a better way of handling it, like reporting them to the authorities, no matter where you might be. If you're in a school or an institution of the sort, yeah, take it that way, put it that way, like report them to the authorities, point out them what they've been doing. Yeah, because I cannot begin to understand how it feels, but you don't need to let it affect you either way. You love your sex life. If it involves getting it with different men, I have no right to say anything about that. And from where I'm sitting or standing, and I speak also, remember, for like-minded men, it is simply none of our business how sexual you are. It doesn't quite qualify you as a slut or any other word somebody might want to use against you. It's just terrible. Yeah. But my job is to let you know what we think, or how most guys would think, or how most guys would perceive the different topics we usually cover on the podcast. And today it's about what would we or what would most of us refer to as a slutty girl. And moving on, long heels. Long heels don't make you a slut. Extremely short skirt doesn't make you a slut. The micro skirt doesn't make you an SLUT. Makeup, no, it doesn't make anybody a SLUT. It has nothing to do with it. So anybody or anyone telling you, or even the mere suggestion that, or a hint that the way you dress or anything else to do with that makes a lady a slut, definitely not. That whoever does that, he or she is just pissed off. He's not getting anything. So yeah, he's just upset that he's not getting any. Or you're just above his pay grade, or you're just above her pay grade. That's why they're using such language. Yeah, they just, the case of, what's that? Is it the fox that why am I missing a lot today? Yeah. So basically it's just somebody who's pissed off at something. Maybe they're not getting any action themselves, so they go around throwing terrible names like SLUT and WHORE. Yeah. So it's simply none of their business. Since when can't a woman dress in what she wants? Are you serious? There'll always be men to take care and protect you, no matter what you're wearing, no matter where you go. Hopefully you're in such a place where there are men who can actually stand up for you, because there'll always be a few idiots who want to say, or judging you based on how you're dressed or how you carry yourself. Yeah, I know that. And hopefully they're good men, whatever you are. That much I'm sure of. Not every man who sees a woman in any revealing clothes would even entertain the thoughts that she's a SLUT. No, a good number, huge percentage of guys know you have the right to dress however you want. If you want to go, maybe I know some ladies want to go in your birthday suits, great, no problem. But nobody should have try to make you feel some way or think that whatever they think matters, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. And so is another word. Here comes another bomb. This is the B word, the B bomb. It's BITCH. So is a bitch a slut? Not necessarily. From what we all know, the B word is normally thrown around when referring to someone who happens to be less than human. Based on how less than human? I mean, based on how she treats others, because the word bitch is usually, it applies to both sexes, but in this case, we're talking about a lady, right? So if somebody was to use that against a lady, usually such a person is referring to the fact that maybe a boss or somebody else in power who treats their subordinates in a pretty bad way. So somebody might say, oh, that BITCH, yeah. So in this case, I'm talking about people who might use such language, the word BITCH. That's where the word is mostly applied to. Sometimes it carries the connotation of a lady who, we know, the kind of lady who has sex with all men he can, and in that case, it is used as another word for the S word. So there are two ways the BITCH word is used. One, for a mean lady, and the other one is for somebody who just has it with everybody else. Yeah. So does it necessarily, are they the same thing? Let's see. So the S word, the SLUT, slut, since I've said it so many times, I can't keep saying it. I've said that, but I keep saying it. So let's just go on with it. I might say that from this point on I won't say it, but I can't make any promises. I might try spelling it out, but then I'll probably end up pronouncing it and saying the whole word. So with the B word, which is BITCH, I remember a video I saw of a lady with her man being interviewed outside. They were outside a nightclub. So some YouTuber was asking couples random questions. Or he was even asking, not that he knew they were couples, he was, even those he assumed were couples, he was just questioning them on different topics, sex, like their favorite positions and all that. So one gentleman probably had a little too much to drink. He probably had a lot to drink that night. So the liquor was, I think, from what I thought, it was probably clouding his judgment, and he happened to forget his manners along with his bottle of whatever he'd been drinking back in the club. So when asked the question, he was asked a question while his lady was standing right next to him. She was basically staring at him or maybe glaring at him. Maybe she thought he might say something wild, or maybe she knows him better while he's drunk. Yeah. So, but they were holding each other lovingly. Like he had his hand on her shoulders, and she had her hand across his waist, around his waist. He said, "Oh, so yeah." When I asked the question, he happened to say, "Oh, she's my bitch." Yeah, I should just say he used the B word. Yeah, I just said it already, so yeah. Again, he basically referred to her as his B. Maybe it might have been great if he did that in the bedroom, or if they do that in the bedroom, or whatever they're getting it on when they're doing it. But in this case, he didn't find it very funny, because she landed a nice quick slap right across his cheek. Turns out she expected him to say it in probably in some better words, especially on video, while he, on the other hand, thought the world deserved to know exactly how they play around in the bedroom. Turns out it was none of the world's business. It was that was all their business. He kind of forgot about that. Well, yeah, so in his case, he was not referring to her as a slut by him calling her his bitch. He was not referring to her as his SLUT. He meant how he liked having her, or maybe how she liked it, like maybe like from behind, like doggy style or something. Yeah. So in this case, it's easy to confuse between the two. One could mean lose morals for the BITCH, like the S word, or that she's just good in bed in the way he likes it. Maybe he meant it like the way he likes it, she's good at that, the style. Guaranteed, though, he won't be saying that word or anything related to it anywhere outside their bedroom. He'll keep it just between the two of them from now on. I'm pretty sure of that. So is a BITCH a slut? Just like I mentioned, not necessarily. Yeah, it's used in a slightly different connotation or in a different aspect or different light. Usually referring to somebody who probably treats people pretty bad. Not that it's okay to use it. No, of course I mentioned it before, but I'm just putting it in context here. Yeah, and moving on. Yeah, but remember, sometimes it might refer to a slut. Yeah, somebody might say you bitch, so they refer to that lady as an SLUT. Yeah. But not always, mostly. So there are basically two ways of looking at it. Number one, a nasty person. Number two, a person who gives it up too easy. And usually the person referring to you in such language, they're probably really super pissed off, or they're just being foolish or angry or I don't want to say stupid. But yeah, remember, nobody should be using such language on somebody else. Disparaging remarks should actually get sued for that, probably. Yeah, but moving on, back to us, back to what we're doing here. Remember, the question was, what would you refer to as a slutty girl? So, in this case, I'm covering, does the number of sexual partners she's had mean she is or she's not a slut? Depending on the number of sexual partners, I think I mentioned before her body count. That said, it kind of means SLUT if it's pretty high. So here I'll say yes and no. Because like I mentioned, most guys might never regard a woman who does it for the money as a slut. Yes, I know she's doing it for the money, and it kind of doesn't make any sense. The fact that, because most people want to say she's a slut if she has relations with many men. But for most guys, if she's doing it for the money because she needs the money, like that's the job, they might not necessarily refer or think of her as a SLUT, not refer, because you have no business referring to somebody using any word, any language like that. So they might not necessarily think of her as a slut just because she has had relations with a huge or high number of men. Or I don't think I should be saying high number. I think I should be saying a huge number, yeah, of men. But with regards to a lady with a much lower number of sexual partners, the two, this is the way it is. If she does it as a job, it doesn't mean it doesn't necessarily make her a SLUT. Like I mentioned, SLUT usually refers to somebody who has it with random people while she's in a relationship with a faithful partner. Yeah, usually that's the best way to put it. So how does it work? Some guys, like I mentioned, some guys are just being judgmental and seeing a woman who has had her like a fair number of men as just that as a SLUT. Not to mean that they would necessarily go telling her or anything of the sort. No, that's just what they assume. Think of singers, rappers, actresses, your favorite rapper or singer singing or rapping about her female parts and how good her female parts are, how good her P is. And of course, singing or rapping about how many guys just want to have it, like have her female parts. And ask the man if that makes her a SLUT, like her lifestyle, her dance moves, her music, her lyrics, the way she dresses, the way she carries herself. And the answer will be a straight no. All of that doesn't make her a SLUT. No. To her fans and to everybody else, she's the purest of angels, like based on their perspective and based on what I think, based on what other like-minded men think. Her lifestyle and her choices in life and whatever she does doesn't make her a SLUT. Remember, like I mentioned, if you happen to be doing it with a lot of other people, yet you're in a good functional relationship, that does make you as an SLUT. Anything else, quite frankly, doesn't quite count as an SLUT. Yeah, even the lady you might think of as crazy dance moves, crazy whatever. No, it doesn't make her that. Far from that. And no man thinks like that. Or maybe one or two crazy ones, but the rest of us don't really think that way. So yeah. Bottom line is, when you really think about it, calling or even thinking that anyone is that, like anyone is a SLUT, any man who thinks like that must be a pretty low man. And it would be hard to understand why some guys, some men would choose that line of thought, apart from sometimes knowing they can never have her. That's the only way it makes sense. Like, why would you be thinking or considering or thinking that she's a SLUT? Oh, yeah, probably because you wanted her. And because most of the cases I've seen, even in movies, these are usually the jerks who just can't have the beautiful girl, the girl they've always wanted to have. And since they know they can't have her, or because she's not interested, they go around slut shaming her, using the word SLUT, using such language. But at the end of the day, it's just because they can't have her. And that's just terrible, because it does have a lot of negative effects on the said person. Especially knowing that they're lying. Whether or not they're lying is just terrible. It shouldn't be happening. So regardless of how much he wants her, no matter if she's just not interested, some guys resort to such actions and such bad behavior. The image I get of such a man, or men are the ones, just like the jerks in college, who like a girl, but since you won't take any of their nonsense, they instead, those men, they resort to name calling and some other shady approaches. Most people, male and female, don't realize the repercussions or consequences of their actions, especially with name calling. These names or any others used on anybody have the capacity to do a whole lot of damage to a person's life. Psychologically, physically, you name it. I've read about cases that resulted in the said person taking their lives. Pretty much the same as those who face cyberbullying. It's terrible. It's the same thing. I might not say the same thing, but the effects are pretty much the same. You're bullying somebody, yeah, and you don't know what somebody else is going through. You should not be doing that. Nobody should be doing that. Worse still is that in our case, the person that happens to go through such treatment, such ill treatment, name calling, and all that, they get ostracized by society. Their life ends while their life basically ends while they're still alive and breathing. No one, and I mean nobody, should go through that, should have to go through that. It carries a lot of stigma, blackballing. The results are just negative. All things concerned, no human being should have to go through any of that. Nobody should have to go through being called names, especially names, not that any name is okay, calling people any kind of name, especially names to go with the SLUT and any such names. That should just not be happening. Yeah, and I think with that, I might just stop right there. I've covered what we refer to as a slutty girl, and I hope you got that. If you've got any questions or any comments or anything else you want to let me know, don't be shy. Don't be afraid to let me know. I'll be right here waiting. And yeah, that's just about everything I got to say today. I hope you're having a great night, great morning, great evening, great afternoon, great whatever you're having. I hope it's a great one. I hope it's an awesome one. And with that, I'm gonna leave now. I'm gonna head out. So until next time, stay good, stay safe. Bye.